Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will likely be strong language and adult themes.
Fuck yeah.
But no maturity.
Duh. Okay, I need to move this microphone.
So we've got Terry Davis with us. He doesn't stop in too often. And Dave and Curve Pimp. That's a new one on me. I don't know who that is.
No.
I have no clue. Never heard of them.
Yeah, ain't never idea. I have to wonder if this is someone who used to use a different name and now we don't recognize the new one.
I always wonder that when I get a new person in here.
Well, I mean, a lot of my Facebook friends, or no, a lot, I say 2 or 3 of my Facebook friends seem to change their name constantly. And so I'm always like, who the frig is this when they're posting? And I look at their pictures, I'm like, oh, it's you again. And they give themselves these weird sort of Celtic pagan-y sounding names. And I'm like, no, your name is Brad.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, and one of the things I've noticed, like within the last few weeks or so, I think, that YouTube has taken a feature away. Mm-hmm. You used to be able to click on the 3 dots by the name, and it used to have the option of go to channel. And that's not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they took that out.
That was really useful.
Yeah. YouTube is always fixing shit that ain't broken.
Yeah.
Ugh.
They're quite annoying about that. They don't fix the stuff that needs to be fixed, but they keep changing around stuff that's useful.
Okay, I cannot make that cowlick stay down. What the frig? Oh, well. I realize I didn't use stronger language there despite the disclaimer at the beginning, but...
That's okay. I was just
God damn it. You missed an opportunity.
Yeah, I've often wondered about the origin of that phrase. Someone somewhere got their head licked by a cow and forever after...
Actually, I've seen people who have gotten licked by cows, and yeah, that's about how it usually turns out. Yeah, one of my uncles had a farm while I was growing up, so we got to go there. Those were fun trips. Not really vacations because you're working all the time.
I gotta say, I am so glad that when I was about 4, my parents decided, hey, let's move to civilization. And we ended up in this sleepy little beach town right next to the suburbs and what passes for a city in Vermont. So that was pleasant. I'm glad I did not grow up rural. I would have totally gone insane.
Yeah, I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, but, I got enough of a taste of it because we're always going up to Upper Michigan, visiting grandparents and other relatives up there.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm really glad that I got the move through before this lockdown all started, because if we'd been still stuck in that little town for this, with way too many relatives nearby, yeah, that would have made this much harder on me.
Sometimes I wonder what it's like, but also slightly envy those people who grew up where, oh yeah, grandma lives a mile away and the cousins are over there and this, that, and the other thing. And they see their extended family all the time, because my extended family is spread all the hell out over this country and sometimes not even in this country. And I'm like, I never had that family Christmas, that family Thanksgiving. It was always either just me and my parents or me and my parents' friends who didn't have kids. And yeah, so
yeah,
I wonder what that's like sometimes.
Yeah. Hi,
it
Diana.
It depends on the family.
What was that?
It depends on the family.
Well, yeah, of course it does.
Like my dad's side of the family, I'm cool with that. My mom's side of the family, I basically talk to my grandmother about once a week. The rest of them are none of them know if I'm still alive or not, and I kind of like it that way.
Yeah, we we sort of abandoned my mom's side of the family, and I'm not sure why, but I haven't seen any of them in person in decades, literally, like at least 20 years. But my dad's side of the family, like we have a family reunion every 5 years at least.
Yep.
So
yeah, we have one every 3 years, and it was supposed to be coming up in July, but they've postponed it until next summer.
yeah, I think a lot of family reunions are delayed at this point. We were supposed to have one this year.
See, for me, the family's always been a problem because I really can't deal with more than 5 people in the room at a time. And even if it's just immediate family, we're already up above a dozen.
Oof. My family is weird, or my dad's side of the family more specifically. They hold a reunion every year. Not everybody shows up to every single one of them. In fact, it's almost impossible to get everybody to show up because I think there's like 900 people in the family on my dad's side.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Those people are fucking way too much.
Yeah, I lost count, but 10 years ago, I made it out to be something like 52 first cousins. When we have a family reunion, it's like over 300 people coming into a town that only has a population of 3,000. So it's like literally every hotel and motel in the county is booked for this.
See, I have 7 first cousins. 7.
That sounds so odd to me. Like, I'm not to the extreme that Perp is, but I'm like closer to Perp's numbers than
I got 8 siblings.
I have only my little sister, but it was basically my parents didn't really want that many kids in the first place. And then my mom had me and my little sister. And my mom said basically after Hufflepuff, she was like, nope, no more children. And I don't blame her because my sister, when she was born, they weren't as handling spina bifida as well as they do now.
Yeah.
And my sister was in the hospital for like the first 3 months of her life. So I completely understand why my mom stopped at her.
Well, yeah, when you've got a child that needs extra care like that.
Well, is absolutely everybody medically damaged? I mean, I had my brain issues, and it seems like everyone and their hamster has like MS or this spina bifida thing, and I'm not even sure what the hell that is, or something. It's just, it seems like everyone I know has medical issues. I don't think I can name one person who's healthy.
Well, I think part of it's kind of the circles that we're traveling in. Because I think it's the people who have some kind of issues that have, couldn't really do mainstream society quite the same way. So they're people who tended to question more in their life.
I suppose it's possible.
I know.
I mean, friends.
Indirectly, that kind of the stuff with my sister and the Mormon church is what made me start questioning things. At least starting to.
Hello. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, this monitore's formatted differently, so you were hidden under the toolbar there.
Yeah, I was hearing the discussion about first cousins. Yeah, I have 11 still alive. One of them died a few years ago. It totally fried his liver.
Oh, alcohol?
Yep.
Now, the next family reunion on my dad's side is going to start getting a little sparse because all of my dad's like uncles and such are kind of on the dead side now. Like they used to be everywhere. And they're all like Sicilians, so going to that family reunion was kind of like an episode of The Sopranos, just without all the crime.
That you know of, right?
Yeah, well, no, I asked my dad, I'm like, okay, Sicily, right? Do we have mob connections? My dad's like, no, our relatives were beat up by the mob.
Okay.
Aw.
You know, that's
Well,
like
that's a
winning 10
connection in a
cents
way,
in the
you know.
lottery, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah, but now it's going to be like my dad's generation and my generation and their kids at the family reunion. That's it.
Yeah. When excuse me,
In
when
a
I was
way,
living in New York, I was in Syracuse, and that we had kind of pseudo mob problems. Because you know how baseball teams, they've got their pro team, and then you've got like
the
their
farm
A
teams,
league
yeah,
and
the
the
minor
farm
league
league.
teams.
Yeah, well, Syracuse was like the farm leagues for the New York Mafia. It was like the generals there who were trying to prove they were good enough to make it in New York.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I was going to say something. I totally lost it. And I forgot what I was going to say. But, yeah. Oh, I remember. There was this one, like, I'm actually, this sounds horrible, but I'm kind of glad some of that generation is dead. Because my dad had this one, like aunt or grandmother or some shit, I don't remember, where she had some condition or other where one side of her mouth, and she was always shaking. And I was like 5, and this creature wants to give me kisses all the time. And I'm just like so creeped out because as a 5-year-old, it looks like you're being approached by a friggin' zombie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, so I'm kind of glad she's not around anymore, which I realize is horrible. But at the same time, at least I'm not being kissed by someone with palsy that looks creepy. Because she did look creepy. It's like despite all her problems, she had to apply makeup and she just looked so creepy.
Oh my! No, I'm
Okay,
kind of
thanks for the
happy.
tip, Dave.
I'm actually kind of happy that I don't have a family anymore. Because whenever everybody would get together, there would always be too much drinking, and it didn't have any knockdown, drag out fights happily. But sometimes it did get a little interesting.
Do you ever have someone pinch your cheek like, "Oh, you're so cute"?
Oh yeah,
No, I've never had that. That's amazing.
I had that when I was like 5.
No, I had
my hippie parents had let me take martial arts.
I had the babka and the great aunt who always thought that I was skinny. Never mind that, I'd be like 30 pounds overweight. Oh, you look skinny. Here, eat. It's like,
oh, the sheer number of times my Italian relatives, manja.
Yeah.
On my mom's side of the family, the few relatives that we actually kept up with, and most of the good ones are gone now, but my grandmother and my mom both are like this. They're convinced that you're going to starve, and they won't force you to eat in front of them. Because they had other family members do that to them, and they knew that when you're hungry and you're not hungry and you're forced to eat, it can make you sick. And so they don't do that. But if you don't eat in front of them, they'll go into the kitchen, grab a bunch of leftovers, put them in Tupperware containers, and send them home with you. And you don't have to return the Tupperware. They don't care. They're like, you don't have to return it. Just don't even bother washing it. Just throw it out, and they would be like, here, take this home with you because I know you're not eating enough.
Boy.
I mean, I know that there was a time when being overweight was a sign of wealth and all of that.
Yeah.
And I guess there were a lot of folks who were like, well, we're short on food, so eat really fattening shit so that in the lean times you can use what's on your gut. But these days, not so much.
Well,
I actually lived during the tail end of those times. I don't know if I mentioned it to you folks. I told a couple people. She, the female slimy bastard, would feed my sister and me eggnog to fatten us up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what really doesn't work is eggnog on cereal.
Okay, then. Yeah, I can imagine it would be a little, yeah. Okay.
I have absolutely no idea what eggnog is.
You don't want
Oh,
to.
yeah. It's a concoction that's heavy on the milk and eggs. I think
Raw
there
eggs?
might be sugar. Say again.
Raw eggs?
Yep. Yeah, it's. I think the eggs are processed now, but when I was young, when we were getting fed the eggs, no, those were raw eggs mixed in with the milk. I think there was some sugar thrown in there. Now we did not. My sister and I did not get the high test eggnog because a proper eggnog contains rum.
Well, and since you seem to not know, it's traditionally a Christmas drink.
No,
Oh,
I've heard of it. I knew about it as a concept. I didn't have any clue what was in it.
It's really, 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 really thick.
Yes.
Like very thick. Like take milk and make it 3 times as thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's even thicker than melted ice cream, to tell you the absolute truth.
Yeah.
Like when you're pouring it, it doesn't so much pour as blop into the cup.
I have to say, I actually like eggnog, but only a couple glasses a year.
Yeah, that's about right.
Like it. I don't know what changed. I used to like it, but now when I'm drinking it, it feels like you know when you get a smoothie and the base is bananas.
Yeah.
And I can't stand the taste of bananas. I don't know why. And eggnog is starting to taste like bananas to me.
Let me look up an eggnog recipe just for the hell of it. Okay, here's one from Alton Brown. Let's see what we've got here. Ingredients: 4 egg yolks, 1/3 cup of sugar plus 1 tablespoon, a pint of whole milk, cup of heavy cream, 3 ounces of bourbon, teaspoon of grated nutmeg, and 4 egg whites. Let's see what we do with all this stuff.
I'd rather have the rum than the bourbon.
Yeah, that just kind of surprises me because I originally knew eggnog with rum.
Actually, I like the idea with bourbon. I can't have rum. I'm
Oh,
allergic
really?
to sugarcane.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it took me a long time to figure that out because it's like beet sugar I can have with no problem. If I have cane sugar, I get migraines.
well, I'm not really an alcohol drinker much, but if someone says here's a drink, I sure hope it's Captain Morgan.
Okay.
Hey, nerdy.
And yeah, I guess vodka would go well in eggnog too. I mean, it's not a White Russian, but
Well, I'll go with bourbon. It's a lot closer. Whiskey's my usual drink, so.
ooh, well, you can have my share.
Well, that's fine. You can have all my rum.
Yay!
Okay. And I'll sit here with the rye.
Oh, wow, really?
I love rye whiskey. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I
had
just
some
got soured
Canadian
on
rye
it.
whiskey last year. That was quite good.
Maybe I just got soured on the rye thing because there was this video game a long ass time ago where like they were just realizing you could use actual video on a CD-ROM and all that stuff. And there was this character, he was like this old hillbilly who had the traditional like jug with the 3 X's on it. And like when you meet him, every time he would go, "Want some rye? Course you do." And he'd pour like a cup. And it just made me go, oh, I'm just waiting for the Deliverance music to start up. So, hey, boy, you got a purty mouth, all of that stuff.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Nana's saying everything tastes better with alcohol. That's
challenge accepted.
I'll tell you, even alcohol tastes better with alcohol.
Well, if you have enough alcohol, you don't taste anything else. So,
yeah, pretty much. That's one of the reasons I'm not much of a vodka drinker. It really doesn't have a flavor of its own. You just feel the burn of the ethanol.
Well, it's funny because, like, you hear people talking about how they can't hold their liquor. I hold my liquor by the ears.
I knew you were going there.
It's the people that amaze me. There was one of my next door neighbors. years ago. We got to talking for a while, and we were sitting around. Hey, you want a drink? He said, yeah, sure, why not? Hands me the fifth of vodka and expects me to take a swig from it. And it's like, well, that's not exactly what I had in mind, but I'll be kind.
I thought you meant a Pepsi.
Well, I knew he meant alcohol, but I didn't realize that he meant, take a swig of vodka straight from the bottle, man.
So it took me so long to realize why they're called soft drinks.
Oh yeah, but they're not hard.
Liquor was
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I didn't even drink till I was 25. So.
25.
Yeah.
What did you do when you were 14?
What?
What did you do when you were 14?
I
know.
didn't drink booze at 14, so
Yeah.
I'm not even sure I had access to booze at 14.
I could mix a
You
hell of a
think I did?
martini at the age of 13.
Sorry, what was that?
I could mix a hell of a martini at the age of
Actually,
13.
I meant Dave.
Oh, Dave, okay.
Did you not have fake IDs?
At 14, no. You have to understand, I was raised in Vermont. Everyone knew everyone. There was no way to get that stuff without it coming out.
Yeah, well, for me, it was pretty much the opposite. When we went up to Michigan, everybody knew everyone, and that's why you could buy the liquor anywhere you wanted, and you didn't really matter how old you were.
Well, I mean,
Anybody would have sold it to me.
I've had a friend who's like 30-something who's never had a drink ever and doesn't want to.
Okay.
And I mean, I guess, but when I was like younger and even still now, there's times where I'm like, I don't even necessarily want to do this much at all. I just want the experience to know what the big deal is.
Yeah,
So
when I was 14, I had a regular group that pretty much every Saturday night we were getting plastered.
I actually like the taste of several of the liquors. I mean, for example, the rye whiskey or gin. I rather like gin.
Oh, gin is so fucking bitter. Oh,
That's
yuck. It's
that's
like
actually
drinking liquefied gravel.
that's actually one of the reasons I like it. I'm weird. I like bitter stuff.
Oh,
So the really hoppy beers, that's another one. Yeah.
oh, God.
I know, we're polar opposites. I know.
Oh my gosh, you are just so broken.
Yeah, no, gin is one I really can't take.
Okay.
I used to make a steady diet of gin and tonic back when tonic actually tasted good.
Now, maybe I'm wrong, but when I first heard about a martini, I thought, oh, some sort of like hoity-toity mixed drink. And then I looked it up. I'm like, wait a minute. So it's just a glass of gin or vodka, depending. And that's it. Why call it a martini?
Usually with an olive in it.
Well, there's vermouth involved, but not much.
I don't know. It just seems weird.
Like when I would mix up a dry martini, it would be maybe half a shot of white vermouth and then fill the glass with gin. Sometimes throw an olive in there.
Well, I know I've told you about my favorite drink to order, even though it's no fun to drink it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's for those who don't know, it's called the slow, comfortable screw against the wall Mexican style. And if you know alcohol, the name
You know
tells
exactly
everything
what's
that's
in
in
it.
it.
Yes.
Everything that's in it is right in the name. So
I had forgotten the entire name. So, you know.
But it's just an alcoholic graveyard. That's all it is. It's like grab shit off the shelf and pour it in. That's all it is. Like, when you go to the fast food restaurant as a kid and you're like, you've got your cup and there's the soda machine and you take like a little bit of everything into your cup.
Oh, yes. And then you try to drink it.
Well, that drink is that only booze style. But it really is no fun to drink. It's just fun to
that's
drink.
like a Manhattan iced tea. A Manhattan iced tea is like 6 different kinds of liquor with no mixers.
So that's sort of different from a Long Island iced tea then.
I think they're derivatives of the same thing. I think it's just swapping out one of the liquors with something else.
I'm not so sure. If I remember right, a Long Island iced tea is basically like lemonade and vodka. I'll have to look that up. But
you look up, I look up.
Long Island iced tea. Okay, triple sec, vodka, rum, tequila, and gin. Okay.
Yep.
Yes, and not a drop of iced tea.
I could have sworn lemonade was involved. I could have sworn. Oh yeah, here we go. 1 ounce of lemon juice. There we go.
Yeah, this particular recipe that I found from All Recipes had a lemon slice. Yeah.
Do they even sell slice anymore, or did that go away after the 80s? And I know that's not what you meant.
I know, but now that you mention it, I don't remember seeing it in a heck of a long time. I mean, I actually do know what it is.
Around somewhere.
Okay, I have to admit, I shut up because I felt like I was partially dominating the conversation, but since no one else is...
Well, Tria hasn't gotten in much lately.
Okay.
She muted herself.
Now, the font of all knowledge.
I don't think you'll want to hear me crunching on food right into the microphone.
No. Hold my beer. Gummy bear. Right into the night.
Still into those gummy bears? Yep, sure are. Well, the font of all knowledge speaks of slice in the present tense, so I guess it's around somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
What do we have here? Slice is a line of fruit-flavored soft drinks originally manufactured by PepsiCo and introduced in 1984 to replace the Team brand, but discontinued by PepsiCo in the United States in the late 2000s. Slice was reintroduced in the United States and Canada by New Slice Ventures, LLC, who acquired the trademark rights in those countries. Slice was also reintroduced in India, by PepsiCo in 2008 as a mango-flavored fruit drink and currently advertised as Tropicana Slice. Okay.
Man, why are people so obsessed with mango these days?
I don't know. I could take it or leave it.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of the new flavor that they're pushing. They go through these things.
Man, I hate it when they try to push stuff on you. You know, like they go, okay, we're going to make this popular whether people like it or not. That's why I think that Shia LaBeouf kid was acting all the time. They wanted him to be the next, like, teen heartthrob or some shit, and it so didn't work.
You know, I'm thinking here, and would kumquat flavored soft drink work?
Actually, I've never eaten a kumquat because the name just sounds horrid.
Well, yes.
Again, what is a kumquat?
It's a fruit.
It is a citrus fruit, if I remember correctly. Small. Let me look up because I can't remember.
Citrus. I thought it was a berry.
Okay, it might be. Let's see.
No, I think it is actually related to other citrus fruits.
All right, let's see. It says here, I guess it's citrus. Kumquats are a group of small fruit-bearing trees in the flowering family of Rutabaga. Yeah,
yeah, that one.
I'm pronouncing that. They were previously classified as forming the now historical genus Fortunella, or placed within Citrus sensulato. Or maybe that's Iato. I can't tell. My font makes L's and I's look the same. The edible fruit closely resembles the orange in color and shape, but is much smaller, being approximately the size of an olive. Kumquat is a fairly cold, hardy citrus. I actually didn't know that. I honestly thought it was like a really large berry that looked like an orange grape.
Yeah, I was thinking they were like tangerines that are the size of grapes.
Like, okay, I'm looking at an artist rendering, and it very much looks like a berry. Because they're like the leaf is this size, and relatively the kumquat is that size.
Yeah, the leaf is actually larger than the fruit. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture here of a
Oh, wow.
Malayan
This sounds like the
kumquat.
name of a band. Hong Kong Kumquat. So sounds like the name of a band.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. Okay,
Oh
then.
God, Nerdy's pushing them on pizza now.
Yeah,
What?
and they.
What? Oh, God. That's worse than pineapple.
Yeah,
What's going on here? Kumquat pizza. Oh no.
I have a pineapple, and it knows that it does not even belong on the same shelf of the fridge with the leftover pizza.
Okay, I admit it. I'm weird. If it's Hawaiian style, I'll eat it. Otherwise, it's an abomination on pizza.
Yeah,
There's that one exception.
Nope. Pineapple's
No, I'll have
delicious.
yours.
Pizza is marvelous, but the two should never touch.
I'll have your share. Although, mind you, I haven't eaten Hawaiian style in, again, literally decades, so I can take it or leave it.
Okay, then. No, I kind of suspected that kumquat was a citrus because I also know of a limequat, which is a cross between a kumquat and a lime, obviously. And I'm remembering that the hybridization works between the closely related stuff.
You know, I used to buy limes a lot. The problem is that I really had nowhere to store them was a problem. But then I realized that you put the lime in the coconut.
Yes, and you swish it all around. Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, being mindful said they've always been obsessed with mango in New Mexico. People of Spanish descent love it on everything.
Hi, B. Yay.
You know, I'm always wondering if we need to make a distinction between like Central and South American Hispanic people and people from Spain. I mean, it seems like they've diverged enough culturally that you can totally do it, but I'm not
I was going to say, yeah, that's what I thought.
From what I've heard, typically speaking, people said we aren't Spain. We're completely different in a lot of cases too.
Yeah.
I'm sure each individual is going to have a different idea on that, but I have heard several people be like, no, that's completely different culturally than what's going on.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the United States and Britain, two cultures separated by a common language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
pretty much.
When you say Hispanic, I think just Mexico and Central America. Even though it's right in the name, I don't make any connection to Spain with that.
I know, but it's weird because like I've seen people do the opposite where they lump them all in together. And so like I usually try to avoid using the term, but I don't have one that distinguishes between Spain and South America. I hate saying that because then I'm not including Central America, but if I do, it gets clunky to say it. There's got to be some way to things south of the U.S., but then again, that starts to sound a little arrogant because the United States is not the center of the fucking world. It's such a, I hate it. The part of me that's anal and specific hates it.
Yeah, moo.
I know what you mean. That it sometimes gets to me that it's like, you know, I try to be specific about things, but then it gets way too wordy.
And also, I'm sure there's someone right now who's going, oh my God, Kate's racist. So, I mean, you know, it's like
anymore.
This one.
Yeah, anymore. There are so many people chomping at that bit. You know, X person is racist or whatever. Yeah, you know, it's like, come on, put that down.
Well, and I mean, I was very pleased to discover when I moved to San Diego that there's like no racism against Hispanic people, like that I've seen at least. Maybe somewhere outside of my circle, but I mean, you're surrounded by folks who are clearly immigrants from south of us, and no one bats an eye, really. And I think that's great. I was expecting to see people like fucking Mexicans, you know, and they didn't do it. And I was like, wow, I'm impressed.
Well, are they necessarily immigrants, or was their family there when that became part of the U.S.?
I don't know that part. I don't know their actual family history. I just know that they speak Spanish more than English. And they're darker than me. So I figure chances are good they are not from here originally. Although it's always interesting to me when you're talking to someone or like you see someone who's been speaking Spanish constantly, and then you start talking to them and their English is completely unaccented in any way. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. You're probably like second or third generation here. No biggie.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
it breaks my brain a tiny, tiny bit.
It's interesting when I talk to some people in Florida or East Texas or those neighborhoods who speak very, with great suspicion of anybody farther south than they are. The guy I used to work with, the one in Florida, Jones, was just a little too suspicious of anybody south of the border to have me believe that it was out of actual concern. And you get where I'm going? Because it sounded extremely much like just straight on prejudice.
Well, I've got exactly one racist bone in my body, and it's against those friggin' French Canadians. But they earned it. They would come down into Vermont and make jerks of themselves. So, I mean, they earned it. Plus, I can't stand the sound of French. But other than that...
So it's the French you've got a problem with, really?
Ugh, I hate the sound of it. It grates on my ears. But they are also jerks, so...
You sure you're not British?
Yeah.
What... I mean, well, I don't necessarily hate French. It's just the Canadian ones.
Well, I mean, is it possible to speak French without sounding arrogant? Can it even be done?
Well, yes, it can.
Well,
but we like to pretend it can't.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Southern French seem to be less arrogant than people think Parisians are.
Well, I'm not saying that they are arrogant. I'm just saying the language makes it sound that way, regardless of their attitude.
Oh, well, that too, yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand why people say that French is such a romantic language. Oh, ma petite chérie, KMO, and all that shit. I'm like, that is not sexy in any way. And neither is your tiny-ass mustache.
As I've said many times, I cannot speak French. I am simply not able to do it because my mouth is not full of things that don't belong there.
Although, you know what's funny? It's like, okay, the like hawking phlegm part of French, which is more prominent with the French Canadians, is kind of wiggy. But I'm very amused by people speaking Yiddish, which does the same gargling phlegm thing. So, I don't know.
Okay.
And I mean, my mom's side of the family is Jewish, so I hear, if not actually Yiddish, but I mean, their speech is often peppered with Yiddishy sounding stuff. Like, most of the youngsters in my family have been called Bubala more than once.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I grew up around a lot of that.
Yeah, and I'm all verklempt over here, that kind of thing.
Well, you were Purple. You grew up in the next best place to Tel Aviv, right? I mean, it was that heavily Jewish.
Yeah, it was about 85% Jewish when I was growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be like growing up in Squirrel Hill over here. Yeah, Squirrel Hill is the neighborhood which contains many, especially rabidly Orthodox Jews.
Yeah, it's most of my friends in grammar school were Jewish families.
Okay.
So it was interesting that being Catholic, we were the minority.
Yeah.
It's fine. With all of the Jews and Catholics there, I tend to feel pretty at home in New York City.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's kind of why I like Lewis Black, because being yelled at by an angry Jewish man just kind of makes me feel like I'm back to my childhood.
Yeah. No, I love Lewis Black. He's hilarious.
Oh yeah, and he pulls no punches. Just everything's right out there.
Mm-hmm. It's always funny to me though, like often his routine involves like ripping on his parents, and yet they're so frequently in the audience.
Yeah.
I always wonder about that. Like if a stand-up comedian is talking about their family, talking shit about their family, do they get crap for it off stage?
I've wondered
Depends
about
on
that.
the family.
Or do they verify the content of the jokes with said family? Yeah, do I have that one right, Ma?
I suspect not. Like I've been watching a lot of Christopher Titus lately, and he's talking about his kids all the time. And I'm like, oh man, if you were his kid, it's like my school chums are going to be watching this, Dad. So quit talking about that time I was walking around in my underwear. You know?
I always kind of feel a little bit funny about that because
What about walking around in your underwear?
no, you know what I meant, Diana. But like, we're so inundated with social media that parents just assume that they can share everything about their kids without a thought of how the kids are going to feel about that when they realize how much of their stuff was aired online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got some childhood photos I'd rather my parents didn't share.
I found most of the ones I don't like and cut them up because I was the one cleaning up when my mom passed away. Now, I'm certain that there's some somewhere that I didn't catch, but it's going to be minimal.
I've got possession of almost all my young photos.
I cut most of mine up.
Oh God. For me to try and get all the photos my mom has with us as kids, they don't make a big enough U-Haul.
Okay, then. Yeah, I do wonder sometimes what the slimy bastards did with any photographs or anything like that of me. I mean, my first guess would be that they destroyed them, but
I was about to say they probably built a fire and threw them in it based on what you've told us about your adoptive parents.
I would not doubt that they might have done that. Yeah, because they were a couple pieces of shit. But I don't know. Maybe they saved a couple just to throw darts. You know.
That's funny. I'm looking at what Dora said there.
Yeah,
and I'm like, a lot of kids these days won't understand what negatives are.
I
did destroy the negatives as well. Because my mom had the negatives and the photos in the same place. Now, a lot of the photos that I destroyed weren't necessarily embarrassing. I found them when I finally decided to formally leave the Mormon church. And so I was kind of in a really, really hateful attitude towards my past. And so I decided that anything that was a church function or church photos, which is where 90% of those photos were, I basically destroyed. Because I couldn't look at the church building because the church building had basically been my home my entire life, in a sense. And having that image kind of wrecked and warped and twisted was just like, nope, I'm destroying everything.
I guess I can't blame you.
One thing I want to mention real quick. I mean, we were talking about stand-up comedians, and I mentioned Christopher Titus, which led us to the whole thing about kids. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but because of the whole pandemic, he has been putting everything on his YouTube channel, and I mean every damn thing. There are comedy routines, like stand-up routines of his that are 2 hours long that I'd never even, I didn't know they existed, and you cannot get episodes of his sitcom For Love or Money out there, but he's putting all of it online. So if you get bored and need some comedy, seriously, head over to Christopher Titus on YouTube. You'll love it. Trust me.
No, wait a minute. Isn't that how one lawyer tells another one to go fuck himself?
Not that I know of. I must be missing a reference.
Yeah, and then, trust me.
Oh, that. I don't know. If someone said trust me, my first thought would, and talking about someone sleazy, my first thought would be used car salesman.
Okay, there you go.
Or insurance.
Yeah, the more somebody has to tell me that I need to trust them, the more I'm like,
yeah.
No.
Okay. I'm a complete and total liar. Trust me.
Weren't we talking?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it feels. It's just like, no.
No, I was just going for irony, but okay.
Weren't we talking about that on one of your critical questions, Dave?
Yes.
About the whole trusting thing? Yeah, I thought so.
I must miss that one.
Trust is a 4-letter word. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was within, I think, the last week or so, wasn't it, Dave? I think.
Trust is completely broken in our society.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And mostly it's corporations that are responsible for it. Which is odd. I need to run away. I need to go to the loo before Jeff's interview.
Well, thanks for coming in.
I will catch you later. Bye-bye.
Have fun.
Laters.
Don't get caught.
You're only in trouble if you get caught.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I mean, if you can't be good.
I'm generally good at not getting caught.
And then there's
that's the important part.
Yeah, I usually get a full-on bed rather than caught. I'll just be over here.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
it's one of the movies at the bottom of the barrel hosts in Cleveland once said, let's say, turn blue, stay sick, scratch glass, climb walls, and most importantly of all, do it while you can, but don't get caught. Yeah.
I like cheese.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
So, yeah.
Oh.
I'm still not able to download yesterday's live stream for some stupid reason. Is it taking that long to format it?
Yeah.
God.
Why with the doing of that?
I keep copies offline as backup.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do.
I don't know. I haven't been bothering.
You know, it still surprises me that, people who aren't here for the live chat actually watch these things later.
Yeah, I mean, it surprised me.
Like the stream from last week, we never had more than 10 people in there. But it's got like
300 views.
Well, it's got like 50 views on it, which, I've only got 300 subscribers, so.
Okay, then.
I find it difficult to even watch a live stream while it's happening because it feels like I want to interact, and it just feels so, I don't know, disconnected, I guess.
Okay.
And I realize that might be a tiny smidge like self-important that I have to be in the stream to watch it, but it's just hard to watch other people having a conversation and being on the outside.
Well, I've been in a lot of them that, the people in the live stream are doing something and the people in the side chat are having a separate conversation on their own.
Yeah.
So I find those a lot.
Which would happen a lot during movie night.
For me, it depends on the person. If it's a friend that I haven't heard from for a while, and like I haven't had a chance to catch up with them, sometimes I'll go back and watch their live streams, but that's kind of the only exception. Which explains one of your views, Perp.
Well, thanks.
Not sure about the other 59.
Yeah, but I don't really see, when it's like a 3-hour live stream.
Yeah.
I don't really see why people are watching this afterward.
Well, the
I don't
the
watch
nine-
it all at once. I leave it on pause, and then when I go do something else, and then come back to it.
Well, the 9-hour stream we did for Easter actually got a few views after the fact. I watched the view count go up. It was maybe 10, 15 views.
Yeah.
But it was a significant number. I mean, we got, I think, Kate, it was 103, 105 we got on that one, which is the most we've had in a little while. So I was pleased about that.
Well, and it's like, people talk about what you need to get monetized, that you need like 1,000 subs and 4,000 viewing hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I never had any thought that my channel would ever qualify. Well, I'm still down around 300 subs, but I looked at it, and apparently from people rewatching the live streams, I've already got like 3,500 view hours.
Holy shit, man. That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
I was kind of lucky. I got sort of grandfathered in because I was monetized before Google bought YouTube. That was handy.
Okay. So they did not pull it away from you when they started it up, and you didn't meet their qualifications.
Well, I probably did meet their qualifications, but even so, like I said, grandfathered in either way.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Do that.
Like,
Well, that was the other
I
thing.
had no worries about it, is what I'm saying.
I have no
figured if I ever
expectation
got
of ever being
close to-
monetized.
Yeah, I figured if I ever got close to the level where I could be monetized, that they'd change the requirements like a week before I reach it.
There you are.
That's YouTube for you. But yeah, I have to admit, like, when a live stream is going on and I'm not in it, there have been times where I'm just like, okay, gonna have that on in the background. Let's fire up a video game and just,
Yeah,
Well,
and
that's
that
what I tend
happens
to do.
too.
I'm sorry, what, Tria?
That happens too. Some of your viewers might not actually just be watching. They might just go, I like Purple. I want him to have the view time. Let me put it on and have it play for a little while.
I mean,
think
that's
I do
sort
that
of
with
my-
a lot of the interview programs, that I'll put them on while I'm working on a project.
Well, that's sort of my MO for movie night, actually. Like, I'll interact for the first 10 minutes, and I'm just like, I need to be doing something. And so I'll fire up VR and just have the movie night folks chatting while I'm doing whatever I'm doing in VR, because not all of it's quite so aerobic as what I have talked about in the past. Which is probably like, I mean, people acknowledge me when I'm in the chat, but I don't end up with a lot to say.
Yeah, I feel that way about a lot of different things. I've slowed down on watching live streams because I've gotten to a point where even if it's people I want to interact with, sometimes I'm just like, I don't even know how to begin to interact right now. So I'll just leave it on in the background for your view time and then wander away.
Well, and like this morning, I got into Terry's for like the first 15 minutes or so. And then I just left it running when I went to bed because he starts at like 4 o'clock in the morning in my time.
Okay.
I don't know. I couldn't watch the last couple of movie nights. I just sort of, I'm not going to say it, but you know who got on my nerves.
I believe we were discussing that a little earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to rag on him too much, but at the same time, there have been so many times where I've just been like, oh, I'll go do something else.
Yeah. And
I hate to say there's probably people who've done that because of me too, but whatever.
I have
probably-
to say, Simon must
probably
have had a
fewer.
special gift with handling him because it's like
he did. He
well, when
absolutely
Simon was
did.
around.
So I was really gifted when it came to dealing with Tornado. Even Look a Pig was reasonably well behaved when Jeff was around.
Which one's Look a Pig? Do I know Look a Pig?
You might have run into him if you watch any of the older movie nights.
No, I've never watched one that wasn't live.
Okay. Yeah, has some of the same sorts of stuff going on that Tornado does, only at least at the time he was much less under control. He would act up during movie nights and that sort of thing if Jeff wasn't around. He got all of us ready to kill him more than once. I mean, if we had the chance, we happily would have beheaded him. From what I hear, he may be behaving a little bit more now, but he's not around anywhere much now anymore. So
you know that
yeah, Dora, I remember
$1,200 stimulus check we're supposed to get, right? Well, someone posted a link from a while back that said the average cost of building a guillotine is about $1,200.
$1,200. Yeah, I've seen it running around.
I mean, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
On.
What just happened?
Now, what I don't.
Yeah, Tria, you just got out there.
It's funny. I have some friends who say they've gotten their stimulus money direct deposited, and I haven't yet. But what occurred to me looking at them talking about it is that their last names come before mine alphabetically, and I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it.
Probably has a lot to do with it.
So, I mean, it's just a guess, but it's a reasonable one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know quite a few people who have received their shekels, and I have to wait until the second group. There's the people who received paychecks from employers, which is this first group. Then I'm in the second group, which is like Social Security recipients and other such things who didn't have to file. And then the last group is people who would be receiving paper checks for whatever reason.
Oh, did you hear why those are delayed now?
Yes, I did.
Oh my gosh.
I would like to punch his face.
Trump is insisting on having his name on the checks.
Yes.
And so they're like redesigning or reprinting a whole bunch of checks just for that.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck.
I'm not even kidding.
Last I heard they were putting
money
his.
For his
Last I heard they were putting his signature on the memo line.
And I think they're also putting his face on the check.
Oh, for the love of Saint Gulick. Oh,
well,
I mean,
yeah,
it may have been fake. It may have been photoshopped.
Yeah.
It may have been fake. It may have been photoshopped, but somebody posted a picture of that on Facebook. And
yeah, well, he's after the vote, so he wants everybody to think that he personally gave them the money.
Right. Yeah, he wants to be seen as the savior, and which is what he's been wanting throughout his term.
Mm-hmm. And you know, the sad part is that, like, he can't accept any mistake whatsoever. Like he cannot take responsibility for anything he did wrong. It's always, no, I was the best. I was the good one. This was my doing, and ignore all the errors, blah, 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 blah. And as a result, he ends up making things so much worse. I mean, like I heard something where he ignored the pandemic largely because if it happened on his watch, it would be bad for him. As far as he was, like, it won't happen here because I'm Donald Trump. There was no like, okay, if I want to seem like the world's most badass leader, I'm going to step up and nip this shit in the bud. No, it was ignore it so there isn't any blemish on my record, which ended up being the blemish on his record. It's like, how stupid is he?
I believe you just answered your own question.
Yeah, I know. So, no, I'm serious though. It's like,
no, I get it.
I don't rock the process in his brain that doesn't see the larger picture.
Yeah, and then his other garbage about how exactly does he word this? Mine is the absolute authority, and mine is the absolute lack of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Yep.
And last headline I saw is Mikey is behind him on that one.
Oh, Pence, got it.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. Too many Mikeys. He likes it. Hey, Mikey. So yeah,
Yeesh.
I
Yeah,
know.
there are more than a
Yeah.
few people sounding the red alert, sounding the alarm. I think we have a lot more to fear from him than immediately meets the eye.
What do you mean by that?
He sounds like someone who might be getting his henchmen to cook up the plan to actually enact what he feels he deserves.
You mean making himself High Emperor?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably best you don't dance around that.
Yeah, he's going for the dictator for life thing.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, I mean, and if he starts doing it, we may finally get Calexit. I'm really hoping. And yes, I know people in the middle of the country are going, take us with you. But what can you do? I mean, you're living in the middle of Jesus land.
Yeah, Mo.
Well, not so much the middle of the country. That's more to the south, but
I was about to say, I'm over here in Jesus land.
I don't know. I hear pretty much the whole Midwest. No matter how
not nearly as bad as the south is.
worse in the South, but I get the impression that North and Middle is pretty red too.
Yes, it is. Oh boy,
Yeah,
is it ever.
is.
And
It
let's
is.
face it, red tends to come hand in hand with religiosity. Does anyone else find it ironic that, like, the Republicans who are the most against communism, their color is red?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I wonder who assigned those colors. I really do.
Well,
I
and I
know
noticed
the whole jackass and elephant thing.
Well, I know where the jackass came from.
Yeah, Trump's loins.
Well, that too. The Democratic Party was essentially founded by Andrew Jackson, and there was a certain reporter. I forget who the reporter was, but the story's fairly easily findable. Who called Jackson a jackass, and reportedly he liked it so much he stuck it on the name of his party. Now, what I don't remember offhand, somebody explained it at me at one point. I can't remember what it was, where the elephant came from.
I don't remember the guy's name, but from what I had heard, it was a political cartoonist who, because he wanted to show how strong the Republican Party was, he drew them as an elephant. And he drew the Democrats as a donkey because he thought they were just too stubborn.
Okay, well, he might have had a point there. I'll tell you, trying to deal with the mainstream mainline Democrats anymore is, hey, they call us bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got a lot of people, like there's this one dude trying to tell me that because I won't support Biden, he's like, well, no one will ever please you, will they? And I'm like, well, the person trying to please me with is all of those things, the rapist, the warmonger, the guy who won't do universal health care and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, it would be nice if you guys actually tried to get me on your side instead of doing everything that I don't want you to do. And it's like, yeah, it's not that I won't ever be pleased by anybody. It's just no one's even trying.
No, I agree. I cannot give anyone a reason to vote for Biden, but we've got to get rid of Trump.
See, and I have never been on the side of that. I can't say, well, you got to get rid of Trump, so any port in a storm. I can't do it because, it's that whole, if you always vote for lesser evils, you'll always have evil and you'll always have less, said Ralph Nader. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, as much as we need to get rid of Trump, we need to replace him with something actually good, not just something less worse.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And,
isn't that the way the story goes?
Yeah, the DNC is just really screwed everything up.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, that's the options we're left with.
No,
Isn't
it's
that the
not.
way the story goes, though?
There's
In
other options. I mean, if we want to go with, say, this oh God, I can't remember his name. Yes, Howie Hawkins guy with the Green Party. He's starting to get some popularity. There's enough angry and disenfranchised people out there who are jumping ship from the DNC and saying never again. So there are options. And I've had a lot of people say, but if I do that, I'm just wasting my vote. And I'm like, well, if we all waste our votes together, we just might win.
that is a point. It may be a long shot, but it is a point. And I mean,
Well,
isn't this what the people in Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, for example, seems to be in his seat, at least with what I'm told, to convince everybody that any one of his opponents is worse than he is. I mean, my understanding is that Kentucky hates him, but it's, if we don't vote for him, we're left with something worse, allegedly, which isn't necessarily worse. But, what the Dems are trying to do is, if you don't vote for our guy, you're going to end up with worse. And wouldn't that be the way you would slip really bad in under the door?
Well, it's the whole
because it's not quite as bad as,
Well, it's carrot and stick is what it is.
Mister.
Well, the problem with our system, though, is that, you somehow would have to get 40% of the registered voters to vote for somebody who's not on the ticket.
Well, one thing I've noticed is that a lot of people out there say like, oh, now's not the time because Trump, or now's not the time because if the other guys win, it'll be so much worse. And I'm like, it will never be safe to try doing something different. It will never not be a risk, ever. And you can't keep waiting for a time when the price of failure isn't horrible. It's just not going to happen. So, you have to say never again. You have to say I'm done. You have to say I'll take the risk on a candidate who's not a fucking Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
But people keep waiting for it to be safe, and it never, ever will be.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed with that one.
And the funny thing is, I'm looking at the chat and I got all these people saying agreed. But if I go on to Facebook or Twitter, I get people looking at me like I'm the villain, like I'm the fucking Antichrist for not falling in line.
Well, those are a couple different demographics, if you will. Yeah, around here, I think are a little more amenable to reason.
It's still just so frustrating that people can't seem to see past their nose, past the moment, to the larger picture, to like, I mean, pointing out to folks the long-term consequences of electing Biden. And they're like, yeah, but Trump, yeah, but Trump, yeah, but Trump. And I'm like, there's more to it than Trump.
Yeah. Oh my.
Well,
the way I've been putting it is the next president is going to be doing things when they're in office. And I would very much like it to be the right things. But, people are like, yeah, well, we need Biden because Trump. Oh.
Yeah, and then, well, you've got Matt Dillahunty not exactly liking you because you don't like Biden. I've got him and Meta not exactly liking me.
Yeah, Matt Dillahunty unfriended me on Facebook because I said I wouldn't support Biden. What a bitch.
Well, and I say Trump, but it's just, Trump is the face of it. But, it's also a mess of the Republicans in Congress that are,
But it's not just the Republicans. That's the horrible part. The Democrats are
it's everybody.
Corrupt. They're just corrupt in different ways, and they try to hide it better. But they're still just as corrupt. They're still just as in the pocket of Wall Street.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, they're supporting me that they're invested in.
The only way we'll get change is if we have ranked choice voting. because then people can feel safe while they vote for someone who's not a Democrat or Republican, and still be assured that if that person fails, their next choice will be the safe candidate.
Well, I agree with you. The problem is, how do we get from where we are now to having that?
I don't know. I mean, I guess if like one thing that people have been recommending, and I agree, is to like vote down ballot. Like, yes, we don't have to vote for Biden or Trump, but vote for your Congress Muppets, you know? And if we get enough of them, then maybe one of them will put forward a ranked choice voting bill. Now, I don't know, is there a way to override a presidential veto? Because I know that
Yes, there is. Yes.
Biden will veto any ranked choice voting
Here's
bill.
what's happening.
So if we can tell him, well, tough shit, your veto's overridden, bitch, then maybe we can have the ranked choice vote.
I believe it takes a supermajority to override a veto.
Yeah, it takes 2/3 of Congress.
It takes 2/3 of Congress, and that's the problem that we're running into right now.
Well, that's why you vote down ballot. That's my point.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the if you can even get a bill to Trump, because Mitch McConnell's blocking so fucking many of them.
Well, that's the other thing we need to do is get rid of him.
Biden.
Yeah.
Like if Biden wins the presidency and we're all like, well, fuck it, whatever. And then we try to get ranked choice voting with Biden, then because we're not going to do it now, the Congress is not slanted in our direction. But
no, it's not. And that's where the problem is that Mitch won't even allow Congress to vote on something that he knows.
I'm talking about timing. I'm talking about timing here. Is if Biden wins and we all voted for the down ballot races so that we have a majority in Congress with the Democrats who can basically override Biden if he tries to veto something, then we might get ranked choice voting. We're not going to even try it under Trump. So, I mean, that's a completely moot point. The point is we got to do it with Biden.
Yeah, well, and that's, I mean, Biden is an unpleasant facet of it, but yeah, the idea is we've got to get as many Democrats into Congress as possible.
Right. But I mean, again, the question was, how do we get ranked choice voting? I'm saying that's how we do it, is by flipping Congress.
Well, yeah, and the ranked choice voting and lots of other important issues, could probably go along with that.
But right now, what's important to me at the moment is finding a way to make elections so that people can vote for parties that are not D or R is the point, because then we might start seeing the change that we need, because like the Green Party or some other party might actually have a chance that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, Midday brings up something important, is that no one's talking about Biden's VP pick. He hasn't made one yet, I think. But there's a very good chance that Biden will... Can you find a president incompetent? Like if Biden does go senile and we can say, yeah, okay, we need this guy out.
Yeah, it's that 25th Amendment thing. But the whole problem is... So what?
Well, but I'm going somewhere with this. So a yes is the right answer. Okay, so if that happens, then his VP will likely be the president, because I think that Biden could easily die in office. He's already going senile on us. So I'm not sure he's long for this world, which means that whoever his VP pick is very important.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And as soon as the letter is transmitted from the cabinet and is approved, or how, the wording is in the 25th Amendment specifying exactly how it'll happen. And as soon as that's fulfilled, the vice president becomes acting president at that moment. And then the president has so much time to answer the accusations, if you want to call it that. And as you say, by that time he might be dead. So the president would then be president.
So who would the pick be is the question, because he, like, both Biden and Bernie pledged to have a woman Veep, right?
Yes.
Now, now if Biden now he's doing nothing to court Bernie supporters right now. Like, he's not even
Right.
really throwing us a bone. He said, "Oh, I'll lower the age from 65 to 60 for Medicare," and it's like, yeah, and what about the rest of us? So he may not pick a progressive Veep, and
Of
if he
course not.
does,
No, I expect that he won't.
and if he does, it'll probably be like Elizabeth Warren, who frankly I don't trust anymore. So, and just watch, it'll be like Hillary Clinton.
Oh, I am so afraid that it would be. You think I haven't thought of that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can see it's probably going to be somebody of that caliber.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he can't win for losing. He's his own worst enemy. He's basically putting up a middle finger to certain aspects of the base that he needs to win. Like, he can't win without the progressive vote. And he's basically telling us, yeah, you're a nice kid. Here's $1. Go play. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's totally disconnected. He has no concept of what working class people need.
he lives
He's living in 1974. Come on.
He lives in a Washington bubble.
Yeah.
I can't think of any, like, is AOC even old enough to be president? I don't think she is.
Not yet.
Not now,
I think she's
no.
got at least. I think she has at least another 4 or 5
Another
years.
term. She's 30, if I remember correctly.
So you know who would make me absolutely happy, and I know people are going to hate me for this, but
Tulsi.
if his VP pick was Tulsi Gabbard, I'd be like, oh shit, I might have to vote for Biden, and I don't want to, but wow, because I know
the odds of that are, don't you?
I know a lot of people deride Tulsi, but she was basically Bernie with a twat. So, I mean, policy-wise.
Well,
they didn't
it's not going to happen, but I did hear one interesting scenario. I think it was Owen was talking about it, that if the election could not be held as scheduled, there apparently is a thing in the Constitution for it.
Wait a minute.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, if with the pandemic or that, they couldn't actually hold the election.
What I understood.
Yeah, well, apparently the way it's spelled out in the Constitution, the president's term ends on January 20th, regardless.
Right. And the only thing I can think is.
Wait, let us finish. I want to hear the rest of it.
Well,
okay.
So basically, the president and the vice president are both elected positions. If there's no one elected to that, it goes down the line of secession.
No, it doesn't. No. Because the succession line is based on who's in office, and at noon on January 20th, the sitting president and vice president are no longer in office.
Right.
Well, you know what's going to happen.
Cabinet means nothing.
Well, you know what's going to happen, though.
The cabinet, the next one down is the Speaker of the House.
I do not want President McConnell.
No,
but McConnell. You know what's going to happen.
No, at this point,
even in the line of succession.
Okay, but you know what's going to happen is if the election's not going to go through, Trump will declare a state of emergency because of the pandemic to try to stay in office.
Well, he's probably going to try to do that regardless.
Well,
I'm saying,
but I'm just saying that's what is the most likely scenario in my never humble opinion.
There is the possibility. The Constitution requires electors, not elections. And it was common practice for governors to name electors way back when.
Well, and in some states, that's still the case.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think that it might be possible that a loose coalition might be formed, or whatever you want to call it, and governors get together and decide, okay, we're going to choose the electors, and the public is not even going to be involved in an election. But the electors will exist to satisfy the Constitution.
We really need the popular vote to be the decider and not this whole
Yes, absolutely. I've been saying that for 40 years. Yes.
Electoral college is just so broken. And
Yeah,
It always was.
gerrymandering shit too.
Yeah, the Electoral College outlived its usefulness 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And so many races have been lost because of it. I won the popular vote, but I lost the Electoral College.
I think for the president, that's happened like 5 times now.
And I mean,
And
I'm not saying that Hillary would have been worse than Trump, but I'd rather have her than him. But I mean, she's still a lesser evil, so I didn't want her at all.
Yeah,
Right.
no, I agree.
I mean,
You know,
that's
and
the thing is like my views never catered to, ever. I always seem to be the outlier in every group. Hell, you know, my favorite band's Roxette. I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups, like fan groups for Roxette. Everybody's favorite songs are not mine in any way. Like a lot of them are like they have this serious hard-on for ballads, and I like their more upbeat, fast-paced, energetic stuff. And I'm just like, wow, hardly anyone even knows who the hell Roxette is. I'm always having to explain it. And even with the people who do know, I'm an outlier. I cannot ever be in the mainstream of anything, and I'm not doing it on purpose, unlike some pretentious little fuckwits. So,
yeah.
it's frustrating.
Well, I've never fit in anywhere, but I never cared to either, so.
Well, it gets lonely after a while.
That's why you have cats.
Yeah, but I can't fan geek with my cats. They don't even understand television or music.
Yeah, smoke the catnip with them. You'll be okay.
Sorry, I didn't catch most of that. What?
Smoke the catnip with them. You'll be okay.
I thought I heard
I
smoke.
actually looked it up, and it turns out that catnip doesn't affect cats until they reach sexual maturity. I had to give Xander his first catnip experience before I knew that, and I looked up, why doesn't my cat react to catnip? And it found that out. So I'm going to have to wait before I smoke any catnip with Xander.
Yeah. Also, like 10 to 15% of cats are just immune to it. It doesn't have any effect on them.
Oh, and it didn't seem to affect Columbia for a long time. Now she loves it.
But yeah, I hadn't heard the thing about that didn't affect them before sexual maturity, but that makes sense. Yeah, because basically the catnip gives them roughly the sensation of like being in love to them.
One thing I also found out, and I'm glad I looked it up, is you should definitely not try to get your cat high by blowing pot fumes at them. It's so not good for them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like, I mean, actively not good for them. I don't just, oh, it's kind of iffy. I mean, cats react really badly to it, so don't do it.
I'm going to have to go back in time and punch my neighbor's face in because he used to shotgun the cat.
Oy.
Okay, actually, my fiance, one of her cats was, you know, quite elderly and in a lot of pain. It seemed to help her. She didn't do it like that, but, you know, she would dome out in a cardboard box and blow the smoke in.
Well, I suppose if you're like on your last legs, you might as well, because what harm can it do that isn't already being done, really? But, you know, I'm not going to blow smoke in Xander's face, and certainly not Columbia either. So, yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to see a cat get high, but might as well just use the catnip for those purposes.
Well, it doesn't, it's not the same effect.
Well, still, if you want to give your cat an experience of being inebriated, you might as well do it the safe way.
Yep.
I've often considered doing that for Elmer for funsies, but I don't know whether or not that would mess with his IBD or not, so I've avoided it.
Okay.
Yeah, and if he's on other meds, you don't want to chance an interaction.
Yeah, that too. I would not ever do that to my baby after all the work I've put into him.
I'm just looking at Xander over there. He's being very cute, being asleep on the other chair. Oh.
Mine is hiding under the bed. He doesn't like rain. He doesn't like windy rainstorms. Which, for living in Florida, kind of bites because that happens all through the entire summer.
Yeah, I would think that'd be a regular thing down there.
Man, I miss thunder and lightning. We don't get it on the West Coast. Like, I remember when I was in Seattle, I was like, ooh, I was awake for the annual thunderclap because there'd be one. But, I've often described being in Vermont, looking out on Shelburne Bay and the Adirondack Mountains beyond it, and just watching these amazing light shows. I miss that so much.
I had friends come visit from California once, and they happened to visit during the summer. And the thing about the summer is that generally speaking, at least once a day, somewhere between the hours of 1 and 3, there's going to be a thunderstorm. It will come fast and leave just as suddenly as it came on. And so my mom had it timed because we were at the zoo, and the zoo here is like an all day type thing. And we were at the zoo here, and my mom said, "Come on, let's get inside and get food." And my friends were like, "Well, we're not hungry yet." And she says, "We're not just going and getting food. Just trust me." And my friends nearly jumped underneath the table when the storm came on because the sound of the thunder was rattling the entire building we were in. And my sister and I are just like chowing down on food like it's nothing. And they're like, "Aren't you scared?" And we're like, "It's outside. It's not in here. We're fine."
Yeah, this happens every afternoon.
Yeah, it was just like, it was just funny to me. I was like, y'all don't get thunder and lightning where you're from? Like,
not on the West Coast, you don't.
I would miss that so much.
It's funny though, the way you describe storms coming on and leaving so fast. That's actually what it's like here in San Diego, just without the lightning. Like, you could be standing around and all of a sudden, psh, and then it stops. And it's like, wow, okay, sure. And there was once it actually started hailing. And I was like, that doesn't sound like rain. What the hell is that? And I opened the door and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's dandruff all over my walkway. But no, it was hail.
Yeah, we don't really get hail here. We occasionally do. But especially the past few years, we haven't really had any chilly days during the winter, really. Winter didn't hit for us in any way, shape, or form until like January-ish. Like, we didn't even have our because the way fall and winter works is you have like a whole week of 90-degree weather, and then all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, it's like 50 degrees for the day for a couple of days, and then it goes back. But we didn't even have that. It just skipped the chilly days in between. And I call it chilly because I know that people up north are going to be like, "That's not cold." And I'm like, well, when you live in 90-degree weather with 100% humidity all the time, that can feel cold.
Now I want chili.
Well, I would make some and send it through a teleporter, but we don't have teleporters yet.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say something and totally don't remember now. Hold on, I'll just over here.
Now that you mentioned that, okay, maybe we got to drag you out here one way or another. I used to make a chili that could be used as rocket fuel.
The only thing I don't like about spicy food these days is that it does make me sweat, which does murder to my hair. So.
Okay, yeah. No, it's been too fucking long since I've made chili. I mean, it's been several years. So I've got to do that one of these days.
I actually haven't had breakfast yet today, and it's like 11:30. I should totally get on that. I actually made rice, but I read somewhere that when you're making a stir fry, it's best to chill the rice first before you cook it.
Yeah, it's always
Yep.
best to do the
Yeah, oh
rest
yeah,
of it before.
absolutely. Yes.
So I waited, and then this stream started, and I just sort of went, eh. So I might get to it soon. I am hungry.
Oh, yeah.
Well, food is a good thing to do.
Yes. Although I have to admit, like the selection because of the quarantine is starting to get rather monotonous. It's like stir fry cereal spaghetti, stir fry cereal spaghetti, da 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 da,
Yeah.
and it's like I need some more variety right now because I'm about to go nuts. Like it's getting to the point where I'd rather not eat than eat that again.
Okay, another feeling. It happens even to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who's known for eating the same stuff for like 10 days straight.
Oh, I've never eaten anything straight.
I knew that was coming.
Well,
some of
how
them I
come no
claim
one
they
ever
were
does
straight,
any?
but I wasn't buying it.
Like people talk about, oh, I did this for 10 days in a row. Why does no one ever talk about doing it 10 days in a column?
I don't know. I really don't. It's oh, okay. Maybe if you do 10 days in a column, it's possible that the days might just fall over or something. You know, they're not glued together sturdily enough. I don't know.
Maybe they figure it's just, a column is Mondays.
Okay, yeah, that does work. I mean, when you look at the calendar on the wall, it's Monday, 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 Monday. Just another COVID Sunday. I don't know.
Those comics I've been making, one thought that has occurred to me through my entire life, but only just popped into my head now, is the concept of the weekend. Because you know how Sunday is the first day of the week, right? So people are thinking of Sunday and Saturday as bookends of the week, where I always thought Monday is the first day, and then you got Saturday and Sunday at the end of the week.
Well, that's how it is in most Europe.
I was going to say in Europe, the weekend is the end of the week. The week begins on Monday.
Again, it's something the U.S. is the oddball about.
The United States
is always the oddball. The U.S. doesn't even know how to count. They do this short period thing where you have hundreds, thousands, and then millions, and then billions, and then whereas in the civilized world, you have hundreds, you have thousands, you have millions, you have thousand millions, then you have billions.
Thousand millions?
Yeah.
You mean
also known as milliard. Say again.
But in place of where we would put billions?
Where we put billions, they would put 1,000 million. Yes.
I don't think that's the civilized world. I think that's idiotic.
Well, the way it works is you have a million, and then on the European system, a billion is a million
It's not that I didn't understand you. It's not that I didn't understand. It's just that seems ludicrous.
Well, no, the reasoning behind it is basically that you've got a new name every time there would be another comma in the number.
Yeah, that makes sense. But deciding, okay, we're going to take the last name and then just add another word on top of it instead of changing the name entirely, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, why doesn't 100,000 work?
What do you mean?
By that logic, 100,000 shouldn't work. It should have an entirely different name.
It probably should.
Okay. As long as you
Oh,
can
wait,
say.
no. Because we also have 100 million, 100 billion, blah, 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 blah. It's like Purple said, is when the comma comes into play, that's when you come up with a new name.
Well, that's when you're generally supposed to, but in the way it's referenced in the US, 100 million and a billion are usually seen as the same thing.
Since when?
Moo?
Since when? 100 million is 100 million. It's the next number after that that's a billion.
I'm confused.
Like,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm getting confused now too.
Okay, 100,000 would be 100, comma 000. But a billion is 1, comma 000, comma 000. Like 100 billion,
Okay.
one place away from a million, or a billion rather. So I'm not sure where the confusion is, but I mean, hell, let me type it into the chat here. That's 100,000. That's 100 million, but a billion is one. There.
Okay. Yeah. Robert X has got it in the side chat there.
Let's find the side chat here. We're gonna.
In the side chat, I'm looking at
Where is Doctor into? Is
Yeah,
my
that-
not today to sing to making?
A million times 1,000 is a millijard, and then that times 1,000 is a billion.
Yeah, and then basically you have a 1,000 times a million is a milliard. 1,000 times a billion is a billiard, and then trilliard, and
Yes,
yeah.
but apparently this is Dutch.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how many other countries in Europe go with that.
And the whole multiplied by this, multiplied by that is just throwing in too many extra variables. You should just put the commas in there to represent it in numbers that people can just see.
Yeah.
Which is why I wrote it down there. 100, like you've got 100 million there and then a billion next to it. What I wrote.
Right. Yep.
So now
Here is to going to on to into. Oh my. Okay. Oh, come on, you. This is what the font of all knowledge has to say about it. I'm putting it in the side chat. Long and short scales. They do a fairly good job of explaining the rationale.
Stupid asking for donations links. Stop that.
Yeah, my connection's been really slow to load anything today.
Yeah, you say they do a fairly good job, but it seems a bit tangled to me. Maybe I just see it better when it's visual. Ah, here's a chart.
Yeah, I was just about to mention the comparison chart.
Well, okay. I've never seen us use 1,000 million, and actually the chart isn't just showing. Oh wait, there it is. Okay, yeah. All right, here we go. Short scale, long scale. I use the short scale. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was. I may or may not have mentioned Dr. C in some of the other chats. My freshman bio prof grew up.
In Dr. J. Sorry, I'll just be over here. Go on.
Yeah, definitely. Now he grew up in Edinburgh, and yeah, he would speak of 1,000 million, and the kids would look, what? It took a little while for them to figure out, even when it was explained to them, that when he would say 1,000 million, he was talking about what they called a billion.
Yep.
But it was just that natural thing that he grew up with.
Well, seeing the names laid out on the short scale, it all makes sense. You know, because it's basically the prefixes, although instead of million, maybe it should be monillion, mono, and then it's bi, tri, quad, quint, sex, sem.
I think that's unnecessary, but okay. Okay,
Well,
yeah.
I'm just saying then it would be consistent with.
I'm gonna go make my lunch. So
Can you make some food?
Okay.
have
All right.
fun.
We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bon appetit.
I was muted because I had literally nothing to add to that conversation. Like, I understood it, I just didn't have anything to add.
Yep.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. So it's another one of those screwed up sleepy days.
Yeah.
Kate and I were talking about that before we went live. I've been feeling really lethargic myself, and I've got a lot of projects I should be getting done with all this time, but just
tell me about it. Yeah.
Just getting going each day seems to be so much work.
And I don't know if I'm the only one, but it seems to be getting worse the longer this whole stay-at-home bullshit goes on.
I think psychologically it is that you're stuck at home.
I hope it doesn't get any worse for me. I'm already struggling kind of bad. Like, I've not really talked about it a lot, but it's becoming easier and easier to justify just rolling over and going back to sleep.
Yep.
And
Yep, that's what I've been doing a lot of.
It's...
Well, and see, for me, that was such a regular thing anyway, because, I sleep in short cycles. So it's like I'd wake up every 2 hours anyway, and I roll over and hope I can go back to sleep. So now it's just a matter of doing that for a couple of extra cycles.
See, here's the thing, is I know my patterns, and I have in the past when my depression hits, I have justified rolling over and going back to sleep for up to 3 days in a row.
Oh yeah. I know that's
without getting up and doing anything.
Right.
Maybe go into the bathroom. Maybe. And that scares me because, like, it took a lot of convincing to pull myself out of that. And I don't have the same reasons to convince myself out of that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, it's, easy to justify that I don't get much sleep normally, so it's easy to justify if I think I can get a couple hours more sleep.
Yeah.
Although most of the time I wind up laying there in bed awake anyway.
Yeah. And we're at the very beginning of this nonsense. I've heard people be like, oh, after the summer. I'm like, no, it's going to be at least a year. At least a year.
For the pandemic stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Year and a half. Easily.
Yeah, and most people are talking that they're expecting this is going to be over, in 6 weeks or something. It's like, no, you're not being at all realistic.
Yeah, you can pretty much kiss most or all of 2020 goodbye.
Yeah, well, that's why I was already thinking about, are they going to be able to hold an election in November?
By rights, we should be able to, but the problem is that the post office, there's one change that they could make that could save the post office. And both Democrats and Republicans are both refusing to do so.
Yeah. The post office is in the very uncomfortable position that while they bring in their own money, Congress still has to approve any changes to their budget or operations.
And one of the changes that they desperately need is to stop funding retirements
Oh
so
yeah, yeah.
early.
Well,
If
who's
they just
Brad?
that would I don't know quite how it's worded or how it's put up, but basically they're the only government office essentially. I don't know, again, don't know the right wording, but they're basically the only department that has to fund so much of retirement up front for everybody.
Yeah.
And so a lot of their money gets tied up in paying retirement for people who are no fucking where near retirement. Like, it should be provided. I'm not against that portion, but I am against the fact that you have a 20-year-old and you have to set aside their entire retirement funds at 20 years old. Like, no.
I don't know offhand whose bright idea that was.
I don't know either, but neither Dems nor Republicans are doing anything about it. So as far as I'm fucking concerned, both of them are to blame.
Yeah, and I really don't understand why the post office doesn't use the same pension system as the military, because they actually did grow out of the military.
I have no clue either. And there are some other services that we could add to the post office that they could provide as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a conversation between you and Diana, but I do believe I listened to it from you two, but it was basically at one point the post office also did a little bit of banking as well.
Yeah, they used to do a lot more of that. Yeah,
and I
and that
remember
would make sense for them to provide basic banking services so that people who don't have bank accounts don't have to be using like these check cashing places or get their paycheck cashed at Walmart.
Yeah, because Walmart takes a chunk out.
Yeah, all those places do. They take out, people cashing if they get the paper welfare checks or the Social Security checks, they lose a hefty percentage on those. And those are people that every dollar is going to count.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what Walmart charges, because at one point it wasn't so bad, but they've started charging a ridiculous amount. Because I think at one point I was cashing my checks at Walmart and they were charging me $3 for doing so, which isn't bad.
$3 is what it had been a few years ago. I don't know what it is now.
Yeah, it's not like that now. Yeah, $3 would have been around 2002-ish, 2004-ish, somewhere in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's also why I'm a big proponent of credit unions.
I am too. I bank at a credit union, and it is so much better than an actual bank.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I had an account, or I still have the account that I opened when I was living in St. Paul more than 10 years ago. And I kept using it the whole time I was in New York. So it's like I lived out of state for 10 years and I kept using the same credit union because the only requirement was that I keep $5 in a savings account and all the services were available.
Yeah, it's similar with mine. I have to have $5 in my bank, in my savings.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that they charge for, but it's basically like, I think they charge if you have something bounce out of country, if you get declined out of country, but it's like a minimal charge, and essentially they don't pull that money from you if it's going to put you in the negative.
Well, mine would have, overdraft fees if you overdrew the account, but that was it. I mean, as long as you didn't spend more than you had in there.
They don't have overdraft fees if you're in country. If you're in country, they just decline. I guess because it takes a little bit more workaround kind of deal with out of country stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have overdraft fees for the most part where I'm at. And basically, your $5 is held. You cannot pull your $5 yourself. You have to go and tell them that, you want to close your account. They have it on a permanent hold. I know some places don't, which is really odd to me because I'm like, that just means you're looking for a way to charge somebody a fee.
Yeah.
We get a combination of checks and direct deposit in our house. My dad has fought putting his retirement into direct deposit because he doesn't want he basically doesn't want the government to have permission to his account, essentially, which I completely understand. I get direct deposit because I was kind of forced into it. And my little sister gets direct deposit for her stuff. And then I don't know about what his work does, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, Amiga, but if our government can do what it wants to do, which is privatize the United States Post Office, they can start making money off of it, which that would really fuck things up for damn near everybody.
Yeah, well, a big part of it is that the post office does bring in its own money, but Congress can't touch that money. And there's been a lot of members of Congress who are kind of pissed off at that there's a revenue stream that they can't tap into.
You mean most of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's scary too, because what's safest for the American public come this November for voting is mail-in voting.
Yeah, but that's not available in every state.
No, it's not. It should be, though.
Yeah.
But I mean, how much of a dent but for the states that do mail-in voting, how much of a dent is that going to cause? Because I'll go out and vote if I have to, but I know several people who won't if they have to leave their house to go vote.
Yeah. Well, and the problem with that is that the federal government does not really have the authority to run an election. It's left to the 50 states individually. They just turn over their results to the federal government after it's done.
Yeah, but if there's no United States Post Office, it's going to be harder for people to mail in their votes for those that do have the option.
Yeah.
And I'm very much certain that there are several congressmen who are very much aware of that fact.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think that part of it is that some of the states that don't do mail-in voting are some of the states the Republicans would be quite happy not to have an election in.
I would like an answer right now that doesn't end in we're all fucked.
Yeah.
Okay, how about we is all to poo-poo? No, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately, the only really good answer is if you could somehow convince 40% of the people that voting for somebody who's not on the ballot is going to work. But
It's not
you've got to
even
get
that.
at least 40% because you know Trump's going to get 35% no matter what he does.
It's not even that. I was doing some looking a little while back, and only 9 states, if I remember correctly, allow unrestricted write-in voting.
Yeah, Amiga Nuts, every state has some form of absentee ballots, but different states do it differently. And in some states, to cast an absentee ballot, you have to get the ballot before the election. And in some cases, you can only do that by showing up in person at your county courthouse.
Oh,
But yeah, Minnesota, you can do the mail-in vote, but you do have to request a ballot a certain period of time before the election. I'm not sure how long it is.
yeah, I know in Florida you have to, but Florida does its dead level best that if you're not military, they try not to count your vote. They
Yep.
try to come up with some stupid legal restriction to make your vote not count.
Well, yeah, that's what the whole business with Gore was in Florida, was
Oh,
that there was a whole mess of mail-in votes that they didn't want to count.
oh yeah, I remember the hanging Chad thing. I
Yeah, well, the
remember
hanging
whole
Chad was
thing.
people who had voted at the polls, but yeah, there were some
Well, they were
boxes.
trying not to count those too.
Yeah, there were some boxes of thousands of votes that were mail-ins and from military personnel that they somehow managed to lose and never got counted.
Yeah. Oh no, I remember that. I was graduating high school, like at that. I hadn't graduated yet, but I was like junior or senior in high school, I think, during that time.
Yeah.
So I distinctly remember it because, I have living in a military town. They kind of gear us up for voting pretty early on. Because it's considered patriotic and all that nonsense. But I remember watching the news and thinking, is this what I'm going to have to go through when I actually am old enough to vote?
Yeah, it's really surprised me what people in some areas have had to go through in order to vote.
It doesn't surprise me anymore.
Well, not anymore, but over the last 20 years, some of the things I found out about what goes on in other states.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Florida, I saw a headline that scares the holy living fucking crap out of me. Rick Scott is being considered as putting somewhere, and I don't remember what the where exactly he was being put, but he was being put pretty high up in one of the departments dealing with healthcare. And
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you know who Rick Scott is, but he pulled the biggest amount of Medicare fraud in the history of this country. And then was elected afterwards with people full damn well knowing that he had ripped off grandma and grandpa.
Yeah, wasn't he also the one that was pushing for the drug testing for anybody receiving food stamps? And then it turned out that he owned the company that did 80% of the testing.
Yep. Yeah. He also tried to get rid of the program that pays me because fuck caregivers. who needs to be paid who needs to eat while taking care of their disabled family?
Yeah.
You don't need to eat. You'll just magically not ever need food.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Mr. Shadow Kitty, I need to get myself set up for mail-in because I do believe my state allows it. And I have 2 high-risk people in my house. And while I'm fairly certain that I would be okay, if I brought it home to my family, we would be fucked.
Yeah, that's the situation I'm in too. I think I would probably be okay, but I worry about Sloth Girl that her immunities aren't so good.
My dad would survive, but would probably be disabled for life. So, and
Well,
Hufflepuff would not survive.
the Sloth Girl is one of those people that even a routine flu, if she gets it, it hangs on for a month.
Oof. Yeah. I'm also debating whether or not it's worth voting in primaries anymore, and thinking of switching my party affiliation over.
No, the primaries are completely fucked because when they were taken to court for it, some spokesman for the DNC actually said we are not required to run fair elections for the primaries.
Yeah, that's why I'm not even sure if, I'm debating because...
Yeah. And you can see what happened. It happened with Hillary. It happened again this year. That they found ways to rig it to push the candidate they wanted, regardless of who was popular.
Yeah. And I'm not sure I want my name affiliated if I'm not... And that's the thing is, if I don't, then I can't participate in primaries at all. If I change, I can't participate in primaries at all, but primaries don't seem to be working anyways. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning towards making myself independent and just not even bothering with primaries.
Well, and that's another one that Minnesota's better with, is in Minnesota, registered as an independent. I can, at the primary, choose which party I'm going to vote for.
Yeah.
But I don't actually have to declare it until the day of the primary.
We don't have that option here.
Very
if you're
few states
independent.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm aware. It's just... It was very, very frustrating for me. Because, yeah, I'm in the boat where... And I'm not going to go deep into it, and I don't really want to hold a super deep discussion on it. But I'm basically feeling like I have to choose between one assaulter or the other, is how it feels. And right now, that's a shitty feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and that's if somehow Biden wins, I don't think Trump is going to willingly walk out of office.
Well, I don't think, I think Trump will try not to, but that is one thing that I, take some solace in, that Trump has managed to piss off most of the high military.
That is
so
true.
So if he wants to make it a fight, he's not really going to have the kind of backing he would need.
That is true. And also,
Also, the intelligence agencies. He has not made friends with the CIA or FBI.
No, he hasn't. And if I'm remembering right, isn't the oath you take when you join the military to protect the Constitution, not the president?
I'm not that familiar with it, so I couldn't say, but...
let me look it up here.
If that ever changes, be fucking scared. But I'm pretty sure it's to that you're supposed to, that part of the oath is to protect the Constitution.
If Jefferson was involved in writing it,
okay, here we go. For the Army, oath of enlistment, I fill in the blank. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God. Notice that they throw the God in there, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also the point being that if he doesn't win the election, January 20th, he is no longer the president, so they don't have to take his orders anymore.
Moo. Very, very moo.
Dora says we heard the same conspiracy talk with Obama from the Republicans. Here's the thing, though. Oh, I have problems with Obama. I feel like his position was not enough. I feel like in a lot of ways his presidency was just coasting. And I get that there was a lot of wingnut conspiracies against him. But Trump has shown over and over and over again that he would love to just be in a dictatorship.
Yeah, Trump has also shown that he didn't understand how the system worked to begin with.
Yeah, and that's also another concern of mine. Obama wanted to use the presidency as a way to get footing in other places as well. I don't think Obama ever really planned to do more than his 8 years and be done with it. You know what? Trump is never going to be held accountable for the bullshit that he's done. That much has become obvious. If Pence pardons him, I think if Trump leaves so that Pence can pardon him, I think that's going to be the least worst. It's not going to be the best outcome, but I think it's going to be it's not the worst one either.
I think Trump's going to have to leave the country once he's out of office.
Well,
because Pence could pardon him for the things he did while he was president, but there are 17 attorney generals lined up to get him for stuff that he did before he was in office. And yeah, Pence can't do anything about the individual states coming after him for his business dealings before that.
Doesn't Trump also have some sexual assault lawsuits pending against him?
Yes.
As well?
Yes.
Yep, I don't know how many, but quite a few. And those aren't going to go well because they've got him, recorded with the claims he made on so many of them now. He bragged about them.
I don't have a lot of hope for that, Purple. I've seen what happens to sexual assault victims, and even when there's proof, there's often not.
Well, no, I think you're probably right that most of the sexual assault stuff will be hard to get to stick, but the financial stuff, I'm sure they will get him on. Just like Al Capone, it was only the IRS that could get him. Because if in some of these other cases about his business practices, they turn up that he had income that he didn't report to the IRS, he'll go down.
Do you think Trump's been that stupid?
Oh, Trump has definitely been that stupid. It's a question of whether or not his family is able to cover it up. So I really think that he's going to have to flee the country. Otherwise, he's going to wind up in prison.
I hope so, because he's been saying that he wants to move everything from, where is it, New York, down here to his Mar-a-Lago place. And I'm just like, no, fuck off. No, we don't want you down here.
No, he'll probably retreat to a private island in the Caribbean or something. But
it would have to be to some jurisdiction with which the U.S. had no extradition treaty.
yeah.
Okay, Mr. Shadow Kitty, I am not saying that Trump isn't stupid. I was just asking if he is that stupid. Because some of what he's been doing hasn't been stupid. It's just been downright malicious.
You okay, Diana?
Oh, just a little bit of itching going on the
Okay.
on the left eye here. I don't know exactly why, but I don't think I got anything in the eye.
Okay, it's just the way
It almost feels like I got a grain of flour in there, but I don't know where I would have got anything like that.
Yeah.
Oh my! Where was I going to go with this? You notice though that he still hasn't released his tax returns.
Yeah, no, we hadn't.
Yeah, well, and that's part of what makes me think that there's some things there that he doesn't want, certain people to know about his business dealings.
Well, he's been profiting from being in the presidency.
Well,
not
yeah.
that that would actually fucking change his base's mind. It seems that no matter what he seems to do, his fan base doesn't waver.
Right. Yeah, he gets 30 to 35% of the vote regardless of what he does. And that's what the Democrats need to realize, that Trump is going to get at least 35% of the vote no matter how badly he screws things up.
Yeah, my family's still full of Trumpers. And they're smart people. I don't know why they're taken in. Like, they're smarter than this, and that is what frustrates me, is they're not ignorant fools. They damn full well know, and yet they still go with it.
Yeah, I don't understand some of the people, because there so many of the people, he is advocating so many things that are directly against their own interest, their own survival.
Yeah. Like, I don't know where my sister stands, but my dad is probably going to vote Trump. And I'm like, why? Have you not heard him say that he wants to put your youngest daughter to work to prove that she needs to keep her disability? Do you understand what hell that will put her through? Not to mention all of the other things.
Yeah.
And that he wants to put Medicare funding on a block. And guess what? My sister's Medicare won't be affected, but guess whose paycheck will? Mine. And I don't get paid enough as it is.
Yeah.
The only reason we are able to make this house function is we have 4 different incomes coming in between the 3 of us.
Yeah, but with all the extra medical expenses you have, I don't even see how that's enough.
Yeah, like I get paid about $800 a month after taxes.
Jesus. Excuse me. Oh, my 800 a month was what I was receiving in 1978.
Yeah, I'm in the weird position of I'm actually paid more than minimum wage, but they cut my hours so short that like I get paid about $5 higher than minimum wage, but they cut my hours so short that I don't get paid fully for what I do. And now, granted, I don't want to be paid completely for everything. Some of what I do doesn't have to be paid. It's more of the I would like to have enough to actually live on. And it doesn't have to be, I don't need high off the hog or anything like that, but it's definitely not enough. And when my dad stops working, I'm going to need more than that.
Yeah.
Plus on top of that, they cut my pay by $200 a month starting last year. For what reason, I don't know, other than they raised minimum wage, and since I was already above minimum wage, they decided, well, we're going to cut your hours so that we don't have to pay you more.
Well, I don't know. If worst came to worst, could you whore out the cat?
You know, he's cute enough. I've been thinking of trying to get a stripper pole and training him how to use it because he's a trainable little fuck. And he looks adorable in a bow tie. I've been thinking about doing that. Like, honest to goodness, I have thought about doing that and being like, all I have to do is get some lighting and the right kind of music, and he's fucking cute enough.
Well, hey, you do that. You do that and promote an Instagram account. You might bring in as much. He might bring in as much as you do.
You know, if I do get the stimulus check, I am going to be buying stuff for my channel. So that could also be part of the channel money I'm spending. Like, god damn.
There you go.
Hi, Slut Girl.
What do you mean you didn't see that coming, sweetie? You know me by now.
Hey, and Diana's seen pictures of my cat. He is a cute little fuck.
It's a cutie. Yes.
And he knows it too. He will look straight to that camera and be like, "Hi, I'm hot stuff. How you doing?"
And then little Miss Kittiness over there is, I would rather not be photographed, thank you. Okay, look who's here. Hi, Donna.
Elmer has gotten over the novelty of it, so it doesn't happen as much as it used to. But at least a third of the time, if I click a certain way, he will look towards me and be like, "Oh, it's camera time. Cool. Let me pose. Okay, I'm done."
Wait a minute. Sloth Girl, are you saying that Purple's actually going to have to fill out the form?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got to look into it.
You do not receive anything by way of Social Security, right?
No, I receive a partial Social Security. They consider me 60% disabled.
Yeah, go ahead, look into it. You might not have to fill out the form. Allegedly, I don't have to.
If you actually file your taxes with the IRS, I don't think you have to. If you haven't been filing taxes with the IRS, I think you do.
Yeah, I haven't made enough money to file taxes.
No, there are some of us, for example, if I read this correctly, I fall in the group who does not have to file tax returns, but also will receive the stimulus check just by sitting here? Wait a minute. Honey, SSI must what?
Yeah, that sentence didn't make sense, Sloth Girl. Sorry. Yeah, my sister doesn't file taxes because her income is all untaxable.
Move beef. Yeah, that's what I thought about the SSDI. Let's try this again. So I think I see what you were trying to say before. Yeah, that the SSI must. Okay. To порожнее.
Oh, must apply. That makes sense. Yeah, my sister's on SSI. She'll have to. I don't, but I have this feeling that they're going to come up with some excuse along the way to either postpone the check indefinitely or just outright not give it to me. Whereas my dad, who makes a decent income by himself, got his check already.
Move beef.
But then again, he's a slightly more what's the phrase I'm looking for? He's a slightly more valued cog in the machine, but only just.
Now I've got this Pink Floyd song going through my head.
I put the Cog is Dead Cog in the Machine song on my head now, and it's my fault.
Sorry, that was my phone.
That's okay.
Which one do you think, Doc? Welcome to the machine.
I hate autocorrect. I hate when the technology thinks it knows what I want to do more than I know what I want to do.
Yeah, I do too. Autocorrect creates problems.
Well, not just the autocorrect, but in general, that's the thing I hate about Windows, is it's always trying to anticipate what I want to do, so it starts doing things that I never told it to do.
Yeah. Oh, wow, it's 4 o'clock. I should probably get my timesheets done.
Yeah, I should probably wrap this up because I got to run out today. I got to find some supplies.
But I probably won't because I hadn't slept all fucking night.
Yeah, I only got a couple of hours, but I need to get some supplies.
Want to get to the post office and find out what method is best and how much I'll have to pay to book to Neil.
You kind of broke up there. I only caught about half of that.
Oh, I want to find out what method I need to use and how much it'll cost to ship a book to Neil. Because allegedly, he for some reason, I don't know why, but he wanted to buy RJ's new book, but they wouldn't ship to his address.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Sloth Girl.
Yeah. What Sloth Girl just said is what I was going to say. That make sure you tell them it's a book, because media mail is always a cheaper rate.
That was what I was trying to think of. If you're shipping media, they tend to have lower prices. I don't remember what the full term is, but they've got a term for it, and usually it's at least a third of the price cheaper to do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's media mail, but they're very strict about what you can put in there.
Say again, honey?
That's media mail, but they're very strict about what you can put in there. But if it's only a book, it qualifies.
Yeah, it is a book, 6 inches by 9 inches by 2 inches, and weighs about as much as a whale.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to do media mail if it's available, because that's going to cost you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
internationally.
The book weighs something like 3.5 pounds.
Yeah, and media mail will be a bit slower. It will take a bit longer to reach him, but it will be a significant cost difference.
Yeah, as long as he's not receiving it in October, you know?
Yep.
I don't think it'll be that bad.
No, but, it'd probably be a couple of weeks. If we're going up to Canada, probably 2 to 3 weeks, I'm guessing, right now. Normally it'd be faster than that, but I know right now the post office is slowed down. Especially stuff going across international borders, just because they're doing a lot more screening things.
Yeah, definite.
Yeah, they want to make sure you're not cheating and putting something that wasn't in media mail in the box.
Yeah, with the media mail, they are very strict about.
Ooh.
Sloth Girl, if I find one down here, I'll send it to y'all. Although I'm having trouble finding one. I eventually forced my sister into handing hers over, so we'd have a thermometer.
Oh, I need to look around. I know I have more than one, but I haven't found any of them since the move. It's just a matter of figuring out where they got packed.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is that, my brother and his wife helped me pack some stuff, so I don't know what boxes they put stuff in.
Yeah.
Okay, Sloth Girl, find the largest stock pot you've got. Fill it about half full of water. Then take a deep breath, stick your head in, and if the water boils, you have a fever. No?
Okay. That's one way to do it.
Night, Dora.
Well, I have to wonder if everybody is sold out of thermometers at this point.
Yeah, from what I was hearing, they've gotten hard to find. That's why I've got to figure out, where. Yeah, I've got to figure out where were the ones that I already had. And I know that I had a considerable amount of first aid stuff that was in the cabinet in my bathroom at the old place that I still haven't found. So there's a box of that stuff here somewhere.
Well, you're going to be founding stuff for at least a year. You know this, right?
Oh, it goes a lot longer than that.
Okay. Well, I said at least.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out around the house and see if we find a second thermometer in the house, which I know we freaking have one. I'll send it to y'all. I know that doesn't help in the right now, but
Yeah. Okay. Well, I should wrap this up here so I can.
Oh, okay. So you can pull the plug on this.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I have things I've got to do anyways. I need to get my timesheets done before my dad leaves for work, and I also have a stream tonight.
Yep.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, I gotta get to the post office and get packages out, and I've got to go to Menards and pick up some stuff for projects I've got to get done here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, everybody have fun and stuff and things and yeah, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, and just a final thing, I need to thank my patron, Greg Warwick. I really don't mention it enough that, yeah, he's actually helping to support my channel.
He's
So,
the good thing.
yeah. So with that, bye-bye, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at midnight.
Bye.
Bye bye.